Hi friends, this is Vishal Nandapra. Welcomes you in a lecture series of operational research. We were in the chapter of linear programming. In the previous part, we have seen an example of the formulation followed by the few definitions related to linear programming, which were solution, feasible solution, infeasible solution, basic feasible solution, optimal basic feasible solution, and unbounded solution. And lastly, we had seen a graphical method to solve a linear programming problem, which is mostly used for the solution of a linear programming problem with only two basic decision variables. More than two decision variable, we cannot use graphical method. For that, we have to switch to the simplex method. So today we are going to learn about a simplex method in which we will see first introduction, then canonical form, then simple procedure, how to follow the simplex method, and lastly we will see the whole method with the help of an example. So let's start. So what is the simplex method? Simplex method, if we see by history, it was developed by a G.B. Dentist in 1947. The simplex method, an important term in the mathematics, represents an object in n-dimensional space connecting n plus 1 points, and from that region we have to find a solution which is optimal solution. The simplex method is quite simple and mathematical in nature. So here we do not need to use a graph or any other aids except mathematical form. The concept of simplex method is similar to the graphical method in the sense where how to reach to the solution. But here we use the n-dimensional space irrespective of graphical method where we used only two-dimensional space. The simplex method examines extreme points, these extreme points in the systematic manner, repeating the same set of steps of the algorithm until the optimal solution is achieved or it is found. So in the graphical method, what we have done is first find the feasible, first we have found the feasible region, and then check for optimality for extreme points. Whereas here in this method, by simplex method, it uses again one space which have a n dimension. So that is the reason we can use problem with the more than two decision variable, and for that space it have a n plus 1 extreme points, and this simplex method will examine all these extreme points to find optimality or the solution. So the simplex method is based on the property that the optimal solution to a linear programming problem, if it is exists, yes, that may be the case where the solution or the optimal solution may not be available, can always be found in one of the basic feasible solution. The iterative steps of the simplex method are repeated until the finite optimal solution is achieved if it is exists, and that's why it is called as a iterative method. So in this method we have to go for iteration one by one as per the systematic manner, as per the algorithm of the method. And if no optimal solution is available, then the method indicates no finite solution exists. In many cases optimal solution is not available. There are many reasons for that. One possible reason may be the wrong formulation of the problem from the given data. So by the chart we can understand how to follow the process or the fundamental of the process. First find the solution, say feasible solution. If this is the solution is feasible, then go for the further process. If the feasible solution, if this feasible solution is not feasible, then LP problem is infeasible. So linear programming problem does not have any feasible solution. If the solution is feasible, then check whether it is optimal or not. If it is an optimal, then optimal solution is achieved. But if it is not an optimal solution, then improve the solution or modify the solution. And after modification, again check whether is it feasible or not. And after feasibility, check is it optimal or not. If it is optimal, then optimal solution is achieved. And if it is not optimal, then go for improvement and do the further process. So by this way, the fundamental of simplex method, it works. Now let's see, while performing the solution, the steps followed by the during the solution. So first step is to the formulation. If the formulation is given directly, say the problem is given in the form of equation directly, you does not need to follow this procedure or this step. You can directly go to this second step, which is the conversion of an LPP into the standard form. So what is the standard form that we will see in a couple of minutes. So first step is the after formulation, convert this problem or convert the problem as per the requirement of this algorithm, say in standard form. After completion, after conversion into standard form, first find out the IBFS, which is the initial basic feasible solution. We have to start our problem with this basic feasible solution, but it is a first, so it is called as initial. So we have to start first basic feasible solution. So always we will start our problem with the feasible solution and then go for optimality. And in second step, we will check whether this IBFS or the initial basic feasible solution is optimal or not. If it is optimal, then solution is achieved or our problem is solved, and we get the answer of the decision variable. But if this IBFS does not fulfill the requirement of this optimality, say our answer is not optimal, then modify the solution by altering the basic variable. In this case, we have to alter the number of one of the basic variable, which is less important for us, and another which is more important or which will give us the more profit or less cost according to the case. Then we will introduce or we will call that variable into the basic variable, and again we will solve the problem with the help of this new set of basic variable. And in this case, again repeat the step number 4. So after modifying the basic variable, check for the optimality condition, whether it is achieved. If yes, then the problem is over and solution is achieved. If it is not, then again modify the solution, and by this way repeat the step number 4 and 5, repeat the step number 4 until you will get the optimal solution. So this is the basic process for to solve the simplex method. How this process works and how to follow this whole processes, we will see with the example. Now let's see, this is the standard form. What is called as the standard form and what is the necessity in the standard form for the requirement of the algorithm of simplex method, in which very first all the constraints should be expressed as an equation. So in formulation we have seen all the constraint either it may be in the less than or equal to type, or it may be in greater than or equal to type, or sometime it may be equal to type. But here in standard form, all the constraint must be as an equation. Say it must be in an equality type by adding surplus or slack or surplus variable, and by adding artificial variable if required. So adding slack variable does not require an artificial variable, but when you add surplus variable is also called as a negative slack variable. When you add negative slack variable, you have to add an artificial variable. Don't worry, we will see when it is come or when we face the problem of all this. But at this moment, it is a little bit regardless to discuss more about this. But we will see in a couple of minutes with the help of example. Then right hand side of each constraint should be made no negative if it is not. So ultimately it is made positive. If it is given as a negative, you can do so by multiplying -1 on both the side. But keep in mind, by doing so, you have to change the sign of inequality. If it is greater than or equal to sign, then it will convert into less than or equal to sign, and if it is given already in less than or equal to type, it will convert it into greater than or equal to sign. Then last is objective function. Objective function should be maximization or minimization type. So in objective function, we must have to be clear about whether the problem is either maximization or minimization type. And this is the canonical form, general form, in which this is the objective function. This is our objective function here. This is either maximization or minimization type. Here it is given the example for maximization type. So maximization z equal to, Here you can write also maximize z or any other function as per the given condition. Maximize z equal to c1 x1 plus c2 x2 plus up to cn xn. Now what is here c and what is here x? So here x1, x2, x3 or xn, these all are a decision variable. This is all are a decision variable. And here c, c1, c2, c3, these all are the profit coefficient if it is in maximization case, or it may be a cost coefficient if it is in it is an profit coefficient if it is in maximization case, and it is the cost coefficient if it is in minimization case. So ultimately we can say it is a profit or cost coefficient. It is always present in the objective function, and it will represent the profit gained by 1 unit by selling, or the cost occurred by the 1 unit of this x1, or the 1 unit of this decision variable x1. The same way c2, c3 and up to cn. Then subjected to constraint, this is given in the standard form. So again all the conditions are fulfilled here. Say first maximization, either maximization or minimization type objective function, it is here. Then subjected to constraint, constraints must be in the form of equation type. So all are here as an equation form. Say a1 x1, a2 x2 up to a1 and xn equal to b1. Here x1, x2, x3, again it is an these all are an decision variable, and a11, a12, these are a exchange coefficient or substitution rate. Practical meaning of this is that by when you apply or when you consider this constraint, let's say suppose it is in time constraint, it may be a machine constraint, it may be a manpower constraint. Let's suppose if it is in time constraint for a particular machine. So when you use or when you want to produce 1 unit of this x1 unit, then a11 amount of time will be consumed. The same way in the a22, so when you produce or when you manufacture the 1 unit of this x2, then a12 amount of the time will be consumed during the production of this particular product. So this is the meaning. It is, that's why it is called as a substitution rate also. And equal to b1. B1 it is generally called as a right hand side during the solution of the problem, or particularly in LPP problem. So this right hand side have a meaning. It represents the total amount of a particular resources. Say let's suppose it is in time constraint, then it will b1 will indicate a total time available for that particular product or for that particular problem. If it is an let's suppose it is an manpower constraint, then b1 is the total person available to solve the problem or for this problem. So b1, b2, b3 and up to bn, bm is all are the amount of resources, and that's why it is always must be positive. And if it is not, then we have to make it positive, because the amount of anything, that must not be a negative, that must not be a feasible. So these all are the constraint in equality form. And last non-negativity constraint, which is x1, x2 up to xn is greater than or equal to 0. That is a necessity. We can understand by this way. Say x1 is the number of product of any particular item, then we cannot produce a minus or the negative of an item. So x1, x2, x3 all are must be positive during the solution. So this is the necessity. Again, I repeat the standard form procedure or standard form requirement, which is always all constraint should be in equal to type. It may be inequality, it may be less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. Then convert this inequality by adding slack variable, the surplus variable and artificial variable whenever it is required. Then right hand side must be positive. Say amount of resources must be positive, and the objective function must be either maximization case or minimization case. After this much discussion, let's talk about the how to convert the inequality sign, or how to add slack variable or surplus variable to a inequality sign. So here type of constraint given is either less than or equal to, either greater than or equal to, or equal to type constraint. So when you convert less than or equal to type into a equation form or remove the inequality sign, then you have to add a slack variable, or a slack variable is needed, which is generally called as a s, and the number is given as per the requirement s1, s2, s3, and so on. So this is the slack variable. S1 is added whenever it is given in the less than or equal to type form. So here, let's see with one example. It is a one constraint given. It is 10a plus 6b less than or equal to 2500. So in this case here, the less than or equal to type constraint is given. To convert this inequality sign into equality, we have to add one select variable like this. Say 10a plus 6b plus 1s1 equal to 2500. So by this way, this select variable we can add into the inequality sign. This slack variable here indicates the unused amount of a particular resources. Let's suppose 2500 amount of, let's say it is in minutes available, 2500 minutes available for any particular production. So in that case, if you use only 2450, then amount of S1 is 50 minutes. So always it indicates that unused resources or unused capacity available to us when we complete the problem. So by this way, we can convert less than or equal to type into equality type constraint. And this again, this variable must be added in the objective function with the coefficient 0 here. So this may be added by the coefficient 0. This is for the maximization case here. This is for maximization case, and this is for minimization case. So in both the cases, either maximization or minimization cases, S1 must be added with the 0 coefficient in the objective function. So it does not make any difference on objective function value. Now move on the second type of constraint, which is generally a greater than or equal to type constraint. In this case, a surplus variable is added and surplus variable is subtracted and an artificial variable is added. Why this artificial variable is added is we will see at the time of solution of the problem, because when you only add subtract only surplus variable, then it will create infeasible solution. So to remove the infeasibility, we have to add artificial variable that we will see when we face the problem of greater than or equal to type constraint. And in this case, surplus variable is added into the objective function with the 0 coefficient in objective function in both the cases, either maximization case or minimization case, whereas an artificial variable which already added with the positive sign in the constraint, that must be added to the objective function with minus m coefficient, where m is the very big value, or it is also called as a penalty in a maximization case. And if the minimization case is given, then we have to add this artificial variable plus m coefficient, or the plus m or very big value. So this we can see by let's say example 2x plus 4y is greater than or equal to 40. So here the constraint is greater than or equal to type. In this case, we will subtract here p. Generally s is used, but here p is used as a slack variable because it is also surplus variable. For that surplus variable, p is used for in many books. P is a surplus variable here, and it is subtracted as per listed here, subtracted from the constraint. And after subtraction, the artificial variable must be added, which is a1 here, which is plus 1 coefficient. And this must be added with the m, either negative m or plus positive m as per the case given. So this is the conversion of greater than or equal to type constraint into the equation or equality type constraint. If the type of constraint given already is a equality type, then only an artificial variable is added. No need to add surplus variable, or no need to subtract surplus variable or add any slack variable. Here surplus variable is also called as a negative slack variable. So in many books you can see the word negative slack variable or negative slack simply. So it is nothing but it is surplus variable. Now see let's see how to convert this equality type constraint into standard form. So 1a plus 2b plus 3c equal to 50, it is the already it is in equality type, but for the requirement of the this problem or the algorithm of this simplex method, we have to add an artificial variable to convert this constraint into and standard form. Say 1a plus 2b plus 3c plus 1a1 equal to 15. If we cannot do this, then it may create infeasible solution, and the in some cases the solution is not available at all. So we have to add artificial variable that we will see in coming problems. So by this way, you can convert the constraint or inequality type or equality type constraint into the equation by either adding slack variable, by subtracting surplus variable, or adding artificial variable, or simply only adding by artificial variable. So let's see the method with the help of one example which is given here. Uh, Here the case is given maximization type, maximization z equal to 5x1 plus 10x2 plus 8x3, and subjected to constraint is 3x1 plus 5x2 plus 2x3 less than or equal to 60. Second constraint 4x1 plus 4x2 plus 4x3 less than or equal to 70. 2x1 plus 4x2 plus 5x3 less than or equal to 100. Here in this second constraint, if you can see 4x1 plus 4x2 plus 4x3 less than or equal to 72. So in this case, if you want to take 4 as a common from both the sides, then it will give you some relaxation during calculation. But if you do not do, then it does not make any difference, or that does not make much laborious. So, and lastly, x1, x2, x3 is greater than or equal to 0, non-negativity constraint. So here our first step is already done. So need not to complete that first now, because already the formal problem is given in the form of equation. The formulation step is already done here. So we will go for directly on the second step, which is a conversion of the problem or the conversion of the given problem into standard form. In standard form, we have to consider three things. Say first, objective function must be either maximization or minimization type. It is already here. Second, all the constraint must be less than or equal to type. All the constraint given is must be in the form of equation. If it is less than or equal to or in any equality type, then convert this inequality into the equality type by adding surplus variable, by subtracting surplus variable, or adding slack variable, or case may be as per the requirement. So let's start with the conversion, which is maximize z equal to 5x1 plus 10x2 plus 8x3. It is already given, so not to change in anything. Then first conversion or the first equation, which is 3x1 plus 5x2 plus 2x3. Here it is a negative sign, so adds slack variable. So we have added plus 1s1 here. One is coefficient, so it need not to write here, but just consider s1. So when you add s1, the inequality sign will convert into the equality sign, because in logical terms or practically, if we think, this inequality indicates that the value or right hand side value has some higher value than the left hand side, or left hand side is somewhat lagging behind in terms of amount. So amount that is lagging, that is added by this s1. But at this point, we don't know amount of s1, or need not to know the amount of s1. But what is the lagging which creates the inequality is the amount s1, and that we added here. So this equation become equality sign, or this constant become equality sign. The same way here, 4x1 plus 4x2 plus 4x3 less than or equal to 7 to 2. So here we will add another equation, another slack variable. As s1 here we used already, we will use s2 here, and again one is coefficient, so need not to write here. So second constant will become 4x1 plus 4x2 plus 4x3 plus s2 is equal to 72. But one thing is, keep in mind that here the S1 is not given, so it does not mean S1 is not present, but S1 is present here with 0 coefficient. So in this case, S1 is present with 0 coefficient, whereas in this case also S2 is present with 0 coefficient. So here S2 is present with 0 coefficient in both the cases. And for the last constraint, add S3 here. So 2x1 plus 4x2 plus 5x3 plus S3 equal to 100. So here again, S1 and S2 are present with the 0 coefficient, and S3 is present here with 0 coefficient, 0 S2 plus 0 S3 here. But it is with the 0 coefficient, need not to write here. But at the initial stage or at the beginner level, you can write. So it may minimize the error, or it will help to understand the problem easily. After this much conversation, algorithm must say that all the constraint that already is added in the future, that must be known to the objective function. So if we add this S1, S2, S3 here, then it may affect our solution. But but we will add this S1, S2, and S3 with 0 coefficient, so it will not affect our solution. So as per the requirement of algorithm, we will introduce S1, S2, S3 in the objective function, and our goal is also satisfied that it should not affect our objective function value. So this is the conversation form. And lastly, we must not have forgot the x1, x2, x3, s1, s2, s3 that must be greater than or equal to 0, or simply a non-negativity constraint. So this is the standard form. So we have completed second step, which is the conversion of the LPP into the standard form. Now we will go for initial basic feasible solution. So initial basic feasible, for getting initial basic feasible solution, we have to consider the number of variable equal to the n minus m equal to 0. Now what is n here? N is the total number of constraint, which is here x1, x2, x3, s1, s2, s3. So total number of variable is 6 here, minus m. M is the total number of constraint, which is here 3. So for this problem, n minus m equal to 3. So by equating the value of this 3 with the 0, we get one solution, and that solution is called as a initial basic feasible solution. Again, I repeat, n is the number of total variables, whether it may be slack variable, it may be slack surplus variable, or it may artificial variable or decision variable. Total number of variable available here is 6, and the total number of constraint is 3 here. That is 1, 2, and 3. So all this, by considering the value of these 3, we get the total value of 3. So by putting the value of 3 variable equal to 0, and we get one solution, and that solution is called as a IBFS. So in IBFS, we will put the value x1, x2, or x3 equal to 0. In this case, generally preference will be given to first in the sequence like this. Now, first preference will be given to decision variable, then slack variable, then surplus variable, and lastly artificial variable. So in this case, we have total number of 3, or in any case, if this amount does not exist, or let's suppose it is an greater than or equal to type constraint, then we have to add s2 plus a1 here. So in that case, we have to add s2 here equal to 0, but that we will see when the problem comes to a minimization case. So here we do not require that, and we will put x1, x2, x3 equal to 0. So putting the value of this 3 constraint, three variable, which is here the decision variable. So by putting a value of x2, x2, x3 equal to 0, we get the solution where to put in the equation or in the constraint. So put the value of x1 equal to 0, x2 equal to 0, x3 equal to 0, then we get s1 equal to 60. In this case, if you put this 3 value equal to 0, then we get s2 equal to 72, and by putting the 0 in this equation, we get the s3 equal to 100. So this is our basic initial basic feasible solution, say IBFS. S1 equal to 60, S2 equal to 72, and S3 equal to 100. So we get one solution. and it is feasible solution. Now go for optimality check, whether it is optimal or not. For optimality check, there are two methods. One is the tabular method and another is the matrix method. Matrix method is a little bit difficult to understand, and it requires a much deep knowledge about the matrix. Whereas tabular method, it is very easy, and for this syllabus, or for this at this stage for the undergraduate study, we will fully depend on tabular method, or we will use the tabular method only for the simplex method. Uh, for that, we have to make a table. In table, first list out all the variables, all any type of variable. Either it may be decision, it may be a select variable, surplus variable, LPC variable into a one row. But keep one row blank here on the above. Then on left hand side of all this constraint, xb. xb, it is the amount of basic variable. Then in the left hand side, B stands for basic variable. CB stands for coefficient of basic variable in the objective function. And after that, XB, it is the value of this basic variable. X1, X2, X3, S1, S2, S3. These all are the number of variables available for that problem, for this problem. So here, now the basic variable is another term. Basic variable are the variables which are take part into the solution. So in this, from these variables, how many variables are present for the calculation purpose or under consideration? These all are called as a basic variable, and those variables are not a part of this table at this stage, or not part of this iteration or particular iteration, and it is called as a non-basic variable. So here x1, x2, x3 are the non-basic variable in this case at this iteration, and s1, s2, s3 are the basic variable. So we will start the problem, or we will iterate the problem here with this s1, s2 and s3. So after mentioning all the variables and basic variable, coefficient value of basic variable and coefficient of basic variable in objective function, just put down the coefficient of all these all this variable, whether it be it is uh, basic variable or non-basic variable. Put the coefficient above the line, which is CJ value. C stands for cost coefficient or profit coefficient, or simply a coefficient of all these variable into the objective function. So x1, 5x1 is the objective function, so 5 is the coefficient of x1. 10x2 in the objective function, so 10 is the coefficient of x2. Here x3, 8x3, so 8 is the coefficient of 8, and it is written above the x3. And 0s1, 0s2, 0s3, so s1 and s2, s3, 0 is the coefficient, so we put 0 here. So this is just a basic construction how to make a table. We do not start any process or to check optimality. This is just a preparation or pre-planning. After that, let's start with the basic variables, which is here S1, S2, and S3. And after S1, S2, S3 written here, let's put the value of this basic variable, sorry, coefficient of basic variable into the objective function, which is 0 here for all these three types of variable. And after that, put the value we get from in the previous solution, which is IBFS here. So from this solution, put the value of S1 and S2 and S3, which is here 60, 72, and 100 here. And after the completion of this, put the value of all the equation or all the constraint, let's say in specific manner, into the table, which is here for the x1, the coefficient of x1 in the column, in that particular column here, which is 3, 4, and 2. So for the x1 column, 3, 4, and 2, which is nothing but the 3, 4, and 2 are the substitution rate or a exchange coefficient. We will call it as a exchange coefficient here. So exchange coefficient for x1 for the constraint number 1, which is 3 here. The same way, put the value of relative coefficient into the table for the particular constraint. So constraint number 1, it is 3, 5, 2, 1, 0, 0, and 60, which is the right hand side or the value of S1, which we put here. In many books, XB is written here, though it does not make any difference, but you have to or take alert whether we write here or left or right. So by after completion of section, constraint 1, for the constraint number 2, it is 4, 4, 4, 0, 1, 0. So here 0, 1, 0. This is the coefficient of S2 is 1 here, and for S1 and S2 is 0 for here, and value of S2 is 72. This is just a preparation. We still have not started the problem solution. Here again 2, 4 and 5 plus S3. So here 2, 4 and 5, S1 and S2 coefficient is 0 here, and for S3 it is 1, and the value of S3 is 100. So after completing this table, now let's start to check whether it is optimal or not. For the optimality purpose, we have to calculate the value of Cj minus Zj. Cj minus Zj. Now what is Cj? Cj is available here, and what is Zj? Zj we have to calculate. Now what Zj indicates? Zj will indicate the amount of particular resources consumed when you produce a particular J variable. So in this case, if we think, let's suppose x1. When you produce an amount or 1 unit of x1, it will consume S1 or the constraint number 1 by 3 unit. It will consume S2 or the constraint number 2 by the 4 unit, and it will consume S3 by the amount of 2 unit. So this is called as a substitution rate, or again exchange coefficient. So this much exchange, and after calculating the Zj, the value is the value we get indicates the outgoing profit. Outgoing profit, say in other terms or layman terms, we can say expense. Expense we have to occur to produce a 1 unit of a particular product or particular decision variable. So here let's say calculate Z1. How to calculate Z1, Z2, Z3? Here J stands for 1, 2, 3 up to 6. So for Z1, multiply this 3 by coefficient of basic variable, which is here 0. So 3 multiplied by 0 plus 4 multiplied by 0 plus 2 multiplied by 0. So ultimately it is 0 here. So this is the Zj value. So what does this indicates? At this stage, when you produce a 1 unit of x1, it will not consume anything. It will not consume anything. Say there is no expenses here. We get only profit here. So by calculation Z2 is the for x2, which is 5 into 0, 4 into 0, and 4 into 0. It is again 0. And as all the value is 0 here, the value of Zj is 0 for each and every variable, whether it may be a basic or non-basic variable. So here we get the value of Zj. Now calculate Cj minus Zj. So Cj minus Zj, but simply for the x1 it is 5 minus 0, x2 it is 10 minus 0, x3 it is 8 minus 0, and for s1, s2, s3 0 minus 0, so it is simply a 0. So this is the value of Cj minus Zj. Now Cj minus Zj indicate the net effect on the objective function. Here Cj is considered as an incoming profit, or we can say it is the profit simply, and Zj, it is the outgoing profit, or in simple terms it is an cost or it is an expense. So here by manufacturing a 1 unit of x1, what we get? We can get a net effect of increase of 5 unit. Say here why it is increased, because it is value positive here. So it will give us, or if we choose x1 as our final solution, or if we choose x1 or produce of 1 unit of x1, we get the 5 unit profit, or it is capable to increase our objective function up to a 5 unit if we select this x1 as a basic variable. This is the practical meaning. Here problem anyone can say, but the important anyone can calculate very easily by doing some practice. But the important thing is to understand the practical meaning of this. Say Cj minus Zj indicates the net effect on the objective function. Net effect, say Cj it is the incoming profit, Zj it is the outgoing profit, or in another terms it is expense. So this is our profit, this is our expense, and when we subtract expense from the profit, we get the net effect, and the net effect here for x1 is the positive 5. So if we choose x1 in the basic variable, from these three, anyone we can replace by the x1, then that is capable to increase our objective function value by at least 5 unit. And the same practical meaning will lie for all this Cj minus Zj value. Say if you choose x1, it will increase, or it may have a positive effect up to 10 unit, and x3 have a positive effect of 8 unit. And s1, s2, s3 does not have any effect on the objective function, because it is already it is in basic variable form. And keep in mind always, the basic variable have a Cj minus Zj value equal to 0 in any case except some special cases. So here now what is the condition of optimality, whether it is optimal or not? So in the condition differs for the maximization as well as minimization case. In maximization case, all the Cj minus Zj value must be less than or equal to 0. So in this case, we can say when all the value of Cj minus Zj either 0 or negative, then we call it as a optimum solution. But here there are three values instead of any one. There are three positive values in Cj minus Zj, which is 5, 10, and 8 for the x1, x2, and x3 respectively. So in this case, we have to that is final. That is our problem is not optimal. Then step number 4. In step number 4, if the solution is optimum, then the solution is achieved. But if it is not optimum, then alter the solution by altering a basic variable. To alter the basic variable, one basic variable must have to leave the solution, and one must have to enter the solution or enter the basic variable column. Now to getting the outgoing variable, we must have to first introduce an incoming variable, and then we will go for outgoing variable. So here choose the value which have a positive value or which have a non-negative value, non-negative or 0 value in the Cj minus Zj. Now again, which have to choose for that, again apply the practical approach, which is if you choose the x1 in the basic variable, it is capable to increase your profit by a 5 unit. If you choose x2, it is capable to increase by 10 unit, and if you choose x3, it is capable to increase your objective function by 8 unit. But here our objective function is maximization case. So always we try to maximize our best possible solution. So here best possible solution for the maximization is 10. So we will select x2 as an incoming variable. So x2 will enter into the basic column anywhere from these three, and this column or the x2 column is considered as a incoming variable, and this is called as a key column or the pivot column also, but we will call it as a key column. So after getting the key column, or after finalization of entering variable, we must go for the outgoing variable, because we can enter x2 until and unless then we replace any of the variable from these three. So for getting the outgoing variable, we must have to find the minimum ratio. Minimum ratio, say a minimum positive ratio, and the ratio of this xb with the key column or the particular element, say 60 divided by 5, 72 divided by 4, and 100 divided by 4. And from this, choose the minimum ratio or minimum positive ratio. If any value of the any of the value of the key column is negative, then do not consider that element and leave it as it is. So to consider to determine the outgoing variable, let's consider a minimum positive ratio, which is here x2 by x3. It is actually here xb by x2. So the value 60 by 5, which is 12, 72 by 4, it is 18, and 100 by 4, it is 25 here. Then choose the minimum ratio. So from these three output, we get the minimum value is x2 12 here, and respective to the 12 value, the S1 is the value for which the minimum ratio we get. So X2 will be a outgoing variable in this case, and the related row will be a key row. So we will highlight this key row by this way. So it will give you a idea, or it will help you to solve the problem easily. So here, this is the key row, this is the key column, and the intersection of the key row and key column, it is called as a key element or the pivot element. But here we will use word key element here. So key row, key column, and key element. So here, after the completion of this table, what we can conclude, say, here outgoing variable is S1 and incoming variable is X2. So in the next table, or in the next iteration, X2 will replace S1, and we will make another table, and we get another solution, and we check that solution for optimality. So let's summarize for this table. What we get here, we started with the initial basic feasible solution by uh, comparing the value of three decision variables, say n minus m variable equal to 0, and we get one solution, and we check that solution by considering Cj minus Zj value, and for this case, Cj minus Z, either one or more Cj minus Zj value is greater than 0, then it is not an optimal solution, and then we have to change the basic variable column. We will change as per the requirement, as S2 as a S1 as a outgoing variable and X2 as a incoming variable. So in the next table, we will replace S1 by X2. Replace S1, so S1 will not be present, and X2 will take place of S1. So in next table, so this is we have put for reference here, because this is required, and this is the as usual condition: B basic variable column, X CB value of coefficient of basic variable, XB, it is the value of this basic column, X1 X2 S3 S1 S2 S3. Then above that, CJ value, say coefficient of this all variable into the objective function. As per the discussion, or as per the conclusion from the previous table, we will replace S1 by X2. So in basic column, S1 is replaced by X2 here. And accordingly, the changes will be here, that coefficient of this X2 in basic variable, it is 10 here, so 10 will come here. And as for S2 and S3, it is 0, so it is 0 here. And after that, start a new table. So this all the variable, or this all element will alter, but we will start with the key column. So here in the previous table, if you remembered, X2 it is or X2 column is the key column, and S1 column is S1 row is the key row, and the phi is the key element. This variable, this element here, phi, is the key element. So always start or the next table or the modified table with the key column. Put the value of key element as a 1, and all other element in that column equal to 0. So in this case, X2 column we will start. So put value of 1 as a pivot element or the key element, and all the remaining element are 0 in that column. After the completion of this key column, let's move on the key row. Whereas in modification of the key row, divide all the element of that key row by 5, or key element here in this case. So here we will divide all the element of this by 5. So in the new table, we will get 16 by 5 here, 13 by 5, 5 by 5, 2 by 5, 1 by 5, 0 by 5, and 0 by 5 here again. So we get the value like this. Say 2 by 5 it is 0.4, 1 by 5 it is 0.2, S2 0 by 5 it is 0, and S3 0 by 5 it is here 0. And for this 3 and 60, 60 by 5 it is 12 here, and 3 by 5 it is 0.6 here. So always start new table with the key column followed by the key row. After completion of this process, say of key column and key row, for remaining element, we have to apply one equation, which is here. A new element equal to old element minus corresponding key row element minus corresponding key column element divided by key element. Equation is a little bit difficult, lengthy to read, but it is not difficult to remember. Let's suppose here a new element. Let's think a new element for this column. Say here, say instead of this 4. So at this 4, here we want to calculate the new element for this position. So for this position, new element at this position equal to put the value equal to old element. Old element is 4 here. So 4 minus corresponding key row element. So for this 4, work through the key row. So if we work through the key row in orthogonal direction, we get the value of 3. So 4 minus 3, sorry, it is not negative here, but it is multiplication. It is a mistake. So 3 multiplied by corresponding key column element. So in the 4, if you walk through the key column, we get the value 4. So 3 times 4 divided by key element which is 5 here. So this is the value of new element at this position. So it is 4 minus 3 times 4, say 12 by 5. So it is ultimately a 20 minus 12 by 5. So it is ultimately 8 by 5. And by this way, we get the value of this element as a 1.6, which is 8 by 5. For getting the value of this 72, so we can apply the equation as a 72 old element minus corresponding key column element and corresponding key row element. So this is the corresponding key row element, this is the corresponding key column element. So it is a 60 times 4 divided by 5. So here 5 will cancel out, and 12 times 4, 48. 72 minus 48, it is ultimately a 24. So by this way, all the element you can calculate here. Now we get another solution. Say x2 equal to 12, s2 equal to 24, s3 equal to 52. Now we must have to check whether this solution is optimal or not, and for the getting the optimal considering the optimal solution, we must have to calculate Cj minus Zj value, in which Cj indicates the incoming profit and Zj indicates outgoing profit, and we will calculate Cj minus Zj, say net effect on the objective function value. After erasing this all the value, let's move on the value of Cj minus Zj. Again, first calculate Zj value. So for getting Zj value, multiply particular element with the value of coefficient of basic variable in that row. So here 0.6 multiplied by 10 plus 1.6 multiplied by 0 minus 0.4 into 0. But here there are two 0 coefficients, so the value of this last two multiplication is 0, and the value is 0.6 into 10, which is equal to 6 here. For the column x2, 1 multiplied by 10 plus 0 into 0 plus 0 into 0. So value of Zj or Z2 is 10. For the x3, 0.4 times 10, so it is a 4, and remaining this 2, it will be a 0. And for this 2, 0.2 into 10, it is 2, and 0, 0 for remaining. So here we get the Zj value, say outgoing profit, and we have incoming profit. Then we will calculate the net profit, which is Cj minus Zj. It is 5 minus 6 minus 1, 10 minus 10, 0, 8 minus 4, it is 4, 0 minus 2, it is minus 2, 0 minus 0, and it is 0, 0. So again, consider the practical importance, Cj minus Zj. Say Cj minus Zj indicate the net profit. If you choose x1 here as a basic variable in the next coming solution, then we get the -1 effect on our objective function. So our objective function will have a decrement of 1 if we select x1 as a solution. sorry, x1 as a basic variable in the coming table. So here it is not wise to choose because it will decrease our solution. In this case, if we choose x2, it does not have any effect. It does not increase or decrease our solution. But if we choose x3, so it has some positive value, say 4. So it have a capability to increase our objective function by a 4 unit. And s1 has a negative value, so it will not improve our solution. So again, this problem contains at least one positive value, or all the Cj minus Zj value is not less than or equal to 0. So this is not optimal solution, and this element, say related to this element, say x3 has some capacity to increase our solution. So we will consider x3 as a, or x3 column as a key column, uh, and x3 as a entering variable into the next solution. And after considering this key column, we have to consider outgoing variable which will leave the solution in the next table. So for that, consider minimum ratio or minimum positive ratio, which is nothing but the ratio of this xb divided by the element of a key column. So here 12 by 0.4, 24 by 2.4, and 52 by 3.4. So by this way we get the minimum ratio and choose a minimum from them, and from this all value we get the minimum ratio is 10 here. So and related term, or sorry, related variable will be a outgoing variable, and related row will be a key row. So this is the outgoing variable. So in this next table, S2 will be replaced by X3, and we will get another solution, and that solution we will check for that solution optimality for that solution. So this is our iteration number 2. Here you can think another problem, another aspect, which is here Z equal to 120. Now, how to calculate the Z? Z is calculated by multiplying this coefficient of basic variable with the value of this basic variable. So here 10 multiplied by 12, 0 multiplied by 24 plus 0 multiplied by 52. So we get the value 122. In the previous table, whereas here, so value of x1, x2, x3 is 0, here 0, and here also it is 0, and the value of z is 0. So compare value of z in between two consecutive iteration. It should be increased. If it is not increasing, then you might be going on the wrong path. You have to make correction for, or you have to check whether you have make any mistake or not. So this is the value of Z here, which is increases by 120 point, because in the previous table the value of Z is 0. So let's move on the next iteration. In next iteration, x2 will be replaced by x3. So here this is iteration number 2 we have taken just for our reference, and the iteration number 3, the variable is as it is, and the coefficient of this variable objective function is as it is. Then basic variable, as we have mentioned earlier, that s2 will be replaced by x3, and it is done here. And the coefficient of this in basic variable, so for x2 it is 10 and x3 is equal to it is 8. Now let's start with the key column first. So in the previous table, key column is x3, it is the key column. So highlight this as this, and s2, sorry, as the key row. So this is highlighted like this. So let's start with the key column. So put the value of 1 at the place of key element, which is here 2.4, and all other element in the key column is 0. So it is 1 here at the place of key column, sorry, key element, and all the remaining element is 0. And after completing this, let's do the process for key row. In the key row, divide all the element by key element, which is here 2.4. So 2.24 divided by 2.4, so 1.6 divided by 2.4, 0 divided by 2.4, and so on. So we get the value 10.66670 and negative 0.33, 0.41 and 0. And for all the remaining, consider the equation new element equal to old element minus corresponding key column element multiply by corresponding key row element divided by key element. For the calculation purpose, let's suppose if you want to calculate this element, then it is considered as a new element. For this new element, what is the old element, which is old element is here minus corresponding key row element. So for the key row, here 1 minus key row element is 0 here, multiply by key column element. So key column element is 0.4. So it is here 0.4 divided by key element, which is 2.4. But here 0 is in multiplication, so no need to write any other element. So it is simply as a 1 here. So by this way we get all the value of related element. So we get another solution, which is x2 equal to 8, x3 equal to 10. Now check for the optimality, whether it is optimal or not. And to calculate the optimality, we have to consider Cj minus Zj value. So for that, first calculate Zj value. Zj is nothing but the 0.3 or the value of this column multiplied by coefficient of basic variable. So 0.3 multiplied by 10 plus 0.6 multiplied by 8 plus this multiplied by 0. So we get the value 8.66. The same way here, 1 into 10 multiplied by 8 into 0, plus 0 into 8 plus 0 into 0. So it is a 10 here, and same way Zj for all the element, and then Cj minus Zj, it is a 5 minus this 10 minus 10, 8 minus 8, and remaining all the value. So here all the Cj minus Zj value is either negative or 0. So the optimality condition is achieved, and no element or the no variable present in the table at this point, or no non-basic variable present in the table which has capacity to improve our objective function. So this is the optimality condition achieved, and optimality condition for the maximization case is Cj minus Zj is greater than must be less than or equal to 0. But minimization case, it may reverse, say Cj, all the Cj minus Zj value must be greater than or equal to 0. So we get the solution by x1, x2 equal to 8, x3 equal to 10, s3 equal to 18. So we get the value of Z equal to 160, which is higher than the previous table Z, which is equal to 120. So we get the solution x1 equal to 10, x2 equal to 8, and x3 equal to 10. Again, keep in mind, if any variable or any decision variable is not present in the basis, then it is called, basis is also as short form of basic variable. So x2, it is the 0, x1 is 0 here because it is not present in the basis here, and x2 is 8 and x3 is 10. So after putting this value of x1, x2 and x3 in the objective function, we get the value of Z, which is here 5 into 0 plus 8 into 10 plus 10 into 8, and we get the value of Z equal to it is 180, 10 into 8 80 plus 10 into 8 80. So sorry, this is the mistake. Here it is 160. Value of 80 plus 80, it is 160 here. So by this way we get the solution. Now one thing keep in mind, here we get the value of S3 equal to 18. So in the third constraint, which is here 2x1 plus 4x2 plus 5x3 plus S3 equal to 100, it means the third constraint is not fully utilized here, and it will remain unutilized by 18 unit. It will remain unutilized by 18 units. So you can utilize it any other places if you have any parallel process going on for the particular problem. So this is the practical meaning. When you get value of S3 as a positive value in the basis variable, then it will indicate unutilized or unprocessed amount of that particular resources, and which is here 80. If you put the value of x1, x2 and x3, you get the value of S3 equal to 100 here. If you put 0 here, then this is 0. 8 times 4, so it is 32, and 10 times 5, it is 50. 50 and 32, so it is ultimately an 82. So 18 unit, or the amount of 18 of that particular resources will remain unutilized. So you can utilize it anywhere else when the parallel process is going on. So that is a simplex method, and this way we can calculate the problem of any problem with the more than 3 decision variable by simplex method. Here, in summarize, let's look at the process or steps to follow in the simplex method, which is here. First, the formulation, then second, conversion into the standard form, then next step is the IBFS, or calculate initial basic feasible solution, and then consider then check that IBFS for the optimality, whether it is optimal or not. If it is not optimal, then modify the solution or modify the basic variables by doing some process, which is the considering the key column and key row, and replace the outgoing variable with the incoming variable by doing some process and with the help of a standard procedure, and do this process unless and until you get the optimality condition. And after the optimality condition is achieved, consider the value of the variable which is present in the basis, and on the basis of this basic variable value, consider the final solution, which is here like this. And after the considering the value, calculate the amount of objective function. So this is the simplex method. That is all for today, friends.